Antonia sat in her armchair, gazing out the window with a pensive look. Yes, a crucial decision lay ahead. Could she even make any decisions at all? Her children had already decided everything for her. The elderly woman couldn't do otherwise, as they had told her she must do as they wished. The children had money problems, and as a mother, she felt she should help them. Antonia sighed heavily. I need to start packing things slowly. Only the essentials can be taken, and everything else would stay here. And then it would all disappear. All her belongings and furniture, all of it would go to the dump when strangers bought the house. Vera and Alex had given clear instructions. If you're going to live with us, then take only clothes and a photo album. But what about my knitting and everything else? I have so many things I want to keep. How will I leave everything behind? Antonia asked, but Vera replied disapprovingly. No, Mom, only the essentials. Maximum 2 suitcases, there's no room to store all that old stuff. Antonia realized she would have to part with everything that was important to her. Of course, it didn't matter to the children. But for her, it was memories, and she felt very sad about it. Vera and Alex gave her a week to pack, and then they would put the house up for sale. The children assured her that if it weren't for money problems, they would have left the house to their mother. But they really needed the money, so they persuaded her to sell the house. They said they wouldn't abandon her, that she would live with them. True, they hadn't decided yet with whom exactly, but they assured her that the elderly woman wouldn't be left on the street. Antonia didn't care who she lived with, as long as her children didn't abandon her. All week, Antonia walked through her house, gathering the essentials. Each item evoked memories, and it was difficult for the woman to part with her cherished belongings. She packed 2 suitcases of clothes, another bag with new bed linens and porcelain figurines. Of course, the bed linens weren't exactly new. They had been lying around for years, unused. Antonia thought her children could use them, and the porcelain figurines were very beautiful. It would be a shame to throw them away. The children probably wouldn't refuse to accept them as a gift. A week later, the children came for Antonia. Vera was displeased that her mom had so many suitcases. I told you to take as little as possible, she said. Yeah, as if I could take less. I packed a 3rd suitcase for you with bed linen and porcelain figurines, Antonia objected. Vera wanted to say something to her mother but changed her mind. Fine, we'll take 3 suitcases, she replied. Antonia lived in the part of the city where tall buildings were gradually being erected. Antonia had a large plot of land. The buyer was a wealthy man who later built a 2-story house there. Antonia's little cottage was demolished, and nothing remained to remind anyone that she had lived there for a long time. Antonia moved in with her daughter. Now she lived in a luxurious apartment. They allocated a room for her, which used to be Vera's husband's study. The husband was very unhappy about this, but Vera persuaded him to free up the room. They bought a simple bed, a small dresser. The room wasn't very cozy. Antonia couldn't even put up her own photos. She persuaded her daughter to allocate a small table for her. Vera was displeased but still bought her a small dresser. Why do you need a table? You're not going to write at it, are you? Besides, your eyesight is weak. You'll ruin it, Vera grumbled. Antonia gave her daughter the suitcase she had brought with bed linen and porcelain figurines. Her daughter took the gifts but didn't say anything. Later, Antonia didn't see that bed linen and those figurines. Her daughter didn't display them. She asked later what happened to the suitcase, but her daughter was outraged. Mom, stop bothering me with your questions. The suitcase is lying in the closet with your gifts. I told you I didn't need bed linen. It's old already, it's time to throw it away. And I don't need the figurines. Give them to Alex later. Over time, relations between Vera's husband and Vera began to deteriorate. He was irritated by the constant presence of his wife's mother in the house. Vera started to get angry with her mother, who was constantly getting in the way. She called her brother and told him to take their mother for a while. She's your mother too. Let her live with us in turn. It's your turn now. So take her, she told her brother. Alex was unhappy but agreed, and Antonia moved in with her son. Nobody asked for her opinion. The children just decided for her. Alex's wife was a horrible woman. She didn't accept the fact that her mother-in-law was now living with them. She didn't let her into the kitchen, didn't allow her to watch TV in the living room. Antonia spent all her time in her room. She didn't have a TV, even though she asked Alex to buy her one. "Mom, what nonsense. I don't have extra money to buy you a TV. I'll bring you a radio, you can listen to it, and please, don't anger my wife. She's constantly complaining about you," Alex replied. That same day he called his sister. "Vera, we need to do something. My wife is furious that Mom is constantly getting in the way. Let's arrange for her to go to a nursing home." Vera was outraged. "What on earth are you thinking? You have to pay for it, or are you going to pay for her?" "I'm not going to pay, I have nothing else to do. As if I have nowhere to spend money." "Well then, take her in yourself. I'm tired of her already. She comes to the kitchen like a ghost. Looks at us with such a pitiful look, as if we owe her something, as if she's accusing us of something." "I'm tired of it all," Alex replied. "No, I'm not going to take her back. She's lived with me long enough, and it's your turn for a month. Let's think about where to send her. We can't just throw her out onto the street. After all, she's our mother," Vera said. "If I had known it would be this difficult, I wouldn't have agreed to sell the house," Alex sighed. "But you were the one who insisted on needing the money. Why didn't you think about where to put Mom? I warned you that she's resilient and will live for a long time. And now she's going to torment us," Vera shouted. "Then you should have warned me better." "I didn't know it would be this hard," Alex sighed. The brother and sister never came to any agreement. Antonia remained with her son for now. The elderly woman began to realize that she was absolutely unnecessary to her children. She understood that no one had ever loved her in this world. She had made a terrible mistake by allowing her children to sell her house. Now she had nothing left, and nowhere to go. She had lost everything she had, and she wasn't even needed by her own children. Antonia decided to visit her neighbor, who lived near her former house. Alex and his wife weren't home, so she grabbed her bag and headed to the bus stop by herself. The elderly woman didn't know which bus went to that area, but she decided she would ask people. She left her phone at home anyway, no one would call her, and no one would look for her. Kind people told her the bus number that went in the right direction. She safely made it to her destination. When she saw that instead of her old rundown house, there stood a magnificent mansion with a tall fence protecting it from prying eyes, she was deeply saddened. Nothing reminded her of the time when she lived here. Antonia felt tears welling up in her eyes. What had she done? How could she have gone along with her children, who treated her so cruelly? Her head spun, and she leaned against the high fence. After a minute, she heard an annoying voice. "Hey, move away from here. Found yourself a place to rest. Quickly get out of here, drunkard, or I'll call the police, and they'll take you where you belong." The elderly woman looked up and saw a tall young man standing in front of her, scowling at her. The old lady didn't say anything to him but moved her hands away from the fence and stepped back. Then she stumbled over a stone and fell. She cried out loudly and heard a familiar voice. "Antonia, is that you? What's going on? Why are you being so careless?" Her former neighbor Linda rushed over to her. Linda helped the woman to her feet. Luckily, Antonia hadn't broken anything, but she twisted her ankle. It hurt to walk. "Let's go to my place, I'll help you," Linda said. She led the woman to her house. Antonia limped, her leg hurt a bit. She couldn't see in front of her because of the tears streaming from her eyes. Linda gave her some tea, served with a delicious cake. After 40 minutes, Antonia calmed down and could speak normally. Linda didn't ask her anything at first. She waited until the woman could tell everything on her own. Antonia told her everything. She told her how her children had forced her to sell the house against her will, and now they didn't need her at all, and nobody wanted to live with her, and they didn't know where to put her anymore. Antonia hadn't seen or heard a single kind word or glance from them. It wasn't life, it was constant torment. Linda looked sadly at Antonia. She felt so sorry for the elderly woman. There was a 5-year age difference between them, but Antonia looked like a completely frail old lady. It was clear that the woman had aged a lot recently. Nobody cared about her. What injustice had befallen this woman? She had 2 children, but they had grown so heartless. Having relatives, this woman was so lonely. Determination shone in Linda's eyes. She knew what to do. She wouldn't abandon this woman. Linda took Antonia's hand and said, "You know what? I'll tell you something now. You won't be alone anymore. My son is going to take me to his village. He has a big piece of land there and he built a nice house, and he's taking me with him to live in his old house next to him. I want to take you with me. The house is small but nice and will fit just fine there together. I'm sure my son won't object. He has 4 children. You and I will take care of them, help my son, maybe even plant something in the garden. I'm sure we won't be unwanted there. He has a wonderful wife, Mary. She has always been friendly and kind to me, and she has never mistreated me. And she really wants me to move there with them. So what do you think about this idea? I'm sure everything will work out for the best. And you can tell your children that you're leaving with me. They won't bother us anyway. Antonia listened attentively to her neighbor. There was such determination in this woman's voice. Her tone sounded so gentle, and Antonia felt hopeful when she heard Linda's phrase about her children. The elderly woman shook her head disapprovingly. No, I don't want to say anything to my children. Let them not even know where. Let them think I've disappeared or that I'm no longer alive. I don't want them to know anything about me. They'll only be glad if I disappear from their lives. They'd hurt me deeply, Antonia said, tears welling up in her eyes again. Linda patted her shoulder. All right, whatever you say, just don't cry anymore. I'll call my son now. Tell him everything, we'll see. He's a good guy, he'll never abandon us, she said. 3 months passed. Now Antonia lived in the village with Linda in a small and old but very cozy cottage. The women got along great. Linda's son, Victor, took care of them. Linda told him Antonia's whole story, and Victor gladly took Antonia to live with him in the village. The elderly women helped Victor, looked after his children, and did some gardening whenever they could. They planted flowers in the flower beds in front of Mary and Victor's house, and in front of their own cottage too. Now Antonia always smiled. She felt calm in her soul. She was needed by people, and she helped them. Mary treated both women with gratitude. She never uttered a rude word. She was always kind and friendly, often inviting the elderly women over for dinner, and treating them to something tasty. She was a golden woman. Antonia was grateful to the strangers who took her in and cared for her. Now she was happy, sometimes thinking about her children who lived somewhere far away and knew nothing about her. They probably thought she was no longer in this world, so they were probably glad she was no longer a burden on their shoulders. Linda several times suggested to her that Antonia inform her children of her well-being, but Antonia was firmly set against it. She didn't want to see her children, who had treated her so poorly. Linda found out where Antonia's daughter lived. She didn't say anything to Antonia, but went to her herself to tell her about her mother. When Vera heard that her mother was alive, she got angry. Great, this old woman left home, didn't say anything to anyone, and now she's living it up with strangers. Is that a mother? She could have said she was fine and found a place to live. We spent several days looking for her, wasting our time. Linda was outraged. Several days you were looking for your mother, only several days. You're not children, you're monsters. She wasn't needed by you. How could you? I shouldn't have come, you're worse than animals. You're inhuman. Linda left, feeling as though she'd been dirtied. She didn't tell Antonia that she'd been to her daughters. The woman really wasn't needed by her children. They didn't even bother to ask where Antonia was living now. Better for Antonia to spend the rest of her life here in the village with good people than to find out what nasty words her daughter had said.